Hey guys, Poro here with the semifinals recap for First Stand 2026. We get both BO5s today, the first between Gen G and G2, and the second being a rematch of LPL finals with BLG vs JDG. G2's upset over FearX was impressive, but I think this is as far as the West goes, and I predicted a 3-0 for the first series. Then I have BLG having a repeat scoreline of 3-1 against JDG to beat them in 3 straight BO5s in a row. I don't have it in me to edit another 50-minute recap this time. I'm on a mission to finish this one in reasonable time. Nothing left to say for the intro, so let's get right into Game 1 of Gen G vs G2. Game 1 draft of Gen G vs G2 is Gen G favored. With the bans coming through, it's clear Gen G are going for the Seraphine opener with the intention of going Ezreal Seraphine against Ashe X. G2 also have the option to give over Ashe Seraphine though, and they think they have an answer with Miss Fortune Nautilus. Personally, I hate going Miss Fortune this early into Ashe Sera, and it seems like an impossible MF game after first 3. Her ult gets no value into Xin Zhao, and both Ashe and Seraphine can cancel her ult easily, with Ashe doing it if nobody's blocking, and Seraphine doing it if somebody is. I think this MF pick will be a liability all game, even though Nautilus gives them some pressure to fight back in lane. G2 then banned 2 mid laners with the intention of going Ahri on 4, which Gen G promptly bans, and so G2 settle for Aurora because it's a good mid blind and a flex pick. Gen G's bans were signaling wanting Renekton, and they lock in Renekton Galio 4-5 to round out their super strong teamfight comp with stable side lanes. Part of me wonders if Caps could go in AD mid like Yone, Tristana, Jace, or Smolder to counter Galio in a last-ditch effort to have 3 winning lanes, but G2 instead prioritized the structure of their comp with Sion. Either way, I'm taking Gen G's comp 10 out of 10 times. It's a super hard game for G2's carries, and Gen G's synergy with these champions is very high. Right away, it's clear that G2 were locked in on the game plan. The one point of pressure G2 have early is that Nautilus hook into double immobiles, and they play around it well. Scumon's first 3 camps are from a creative invade that puts him in a good position to level 3 gank bot, and he trades flashes with Ashe, a great start. Labrov then uses his own flash to get Ashe's barrier, and now Ashe is super vulnerable. Even with Canyon hovering the lane, Ruler doesn't quite respect hook range, and with another gank from Scumon, G2 are able to get that first blood onto Ashe. With the game in their control for now, G2 refuse to take their foot off the gas. The Nautilus and Pantheon keep hunting, and Duro is caught out in bot river to give G2 a second kill off Pantheon ult. Cap still looks a bit shaky in lane though. He uses an E backwards to get chunked for half health, and Gen G capitalize off this by killing her with a cross map R. Other than that slight lane mishap though, the rest of G2 are locked in. Labrov finds another flash play onto Seraphine when Ashe is on a reset, bringing the kills to 3-1. The small mistakes for Gen G don't stop either, as Chovy is caught out mid and falls prey to that Pantheon Nautilus engage, and now it's 4-1 heading into the first objective fight. At Rift Herald, everyone shows up and it's a full-on 5v5 party. At first, Broken Blade's engage doesn't seem amazing, and Gen G start chunking him hard, but Chovy goes a bit too fast on the angle, and Hans is easily able to cleanse away all the CC. With the Misfortune's ult now being usable, all of Gen G need to space away from it, and G2 turn onto Keen in the top side of the fight and take him down. Canyon falls too in the extended chase down, and now G2 are truly in the lead. For the next few minutes, G2 continue their surprisingly surgical execution. Scumon finds a great ult play top to kill Chovy, and then my personal favorite play of the game happens next. Galio is top, so there's no ult. Ashe's arrow is down, so no cross-map stun. Seraphine showed mid too, so only Canyon can be there to cover. With all of this information, G2 instantly run everyone bot and trap Keen under turret, where the Renekton is dove and killed. G2 are playing insanely clean so far. The final sequences of the game are decided over Baron. In between Drakes, G2 start Baron. This is an incredibly smart start for many reasons. G2 can tank it forever with shields and lifesteal, so it puts a lot of pressure onto Gen G to respond. They're forced to teleport Renekton up topside, but since G2 are on blue side, they can easily retreat backwards with the free advantage. It's clean League of Legends. G2 are actually just playing the macros super well. Feeling the pressure with soul spawning, Gen G make the call to bet the game on their own Baron start, but G2 sniff out the attempt and are there for the contest. Okay, Gen G are starting, they're starting the Baron. G2 know. They're posturing as if they know. Let's see. They're here. You can't outsmite Pantheon's Q Flash or Q Smite. Scumon should get this. He has Flash. Scumon should get this. Scumon hits these. Okay. Okay, Broken Blade is tanking everybody. Broken Blade is like zoning fucking 1v3 right now. Oh, oh, oh. 10k gold lead, Baron, Mountain Soul, and not even Gen G can hold on as G2 patiently end the game, winning game 1. Wow, I'm super impressed with G2's gameplay. Sure, Gen G made a few mistakes, but G2 were super fucking locked in and clean all game. Gen G weren't able to get anything done with their mid support duo, and the only positive plays they got were from Ashe cross maps. On the flip side, Labrov and Skewmond were everywhere they needed to be, Broken Blade was creating space in fights, Hans was super patient with his tools, and Caps did huge damage. If G2 continue to play like this, Gen G will actually need to work really hard in order to make these games competitive. I'm excited for next game. Game 2 draft was pretty nice across the board for both sides. Gen G first picked Vi, G2 respond Varus Zehen, and Gen G goes Sivir Alistar. Generally, I think Sivir Alistar into Varus is a hard winning response, and that going Braum on 3 isn't enough value for it to be worth it, but this time it actually is, because Gen G also have the Vi, meaning they're really indexed into needing to go in a bit to find value in teamfights. The Zehen is also technically a flex, giving G2 a bit more wiggle room in draft. 4-5 bans come through, and while it would be an angle to go mid blind on 4 to hide the flex, G2 instead opt for Cassante blind to lock Zehen in jungle and get mid counterpick. With the Ahri coming through for Gen G, I think Caps is looking for a Sylas angle for the lane and the Alistar ult, but then Gen G throw a corkscrew into the draft by hard countering Cassante with Vayne top. This has a lot of value, especially if G2 goes Sylas, but it makes Gen G's comp more fragile. Caps has a great last second adaptation to go Victor, and I actually love the pick because it wins lane, and the slows from his passive stacks as well as the zoning from the W makes Vayne's life really hard in mid and late game. I think Gen G can win this game if they make use of that Vayne super well, but a couple of mistakes would be all G2 needs to stabilize and take the second game. Last early game was decided through bot, and this game is no different. The first play came from Duro, but it was bad. He's playing Ali Sivir into Varus Braum, but he opts into a 2v2 engage, which can never be good. Alistar dies and Sivir flashes, giving G2 a target for the next few minutes. Skewmond comes down to capitalize on this while Canyon goes mid, and the two teams trade flashes with G2 getting support and Gen G getting mid. Caps is now vulnerable, but he and the rest of G2 play out this timer fantastically. Skewmond and Labrov go mid to get Ahri's ult, giving Caps more breathing room in the lane, and then with a great W from Victor later on, Chovy is forced to flash. Labrov even goes mid on the timer before Victor's flash comes up, just in case, which I really like even though Gen G didn't end up trying to do anything. Broken Blade's lane is going well too, he had some nice equalizing plays like trading ults with Vayne on the recall right before she got Hexplate. Gen G are still trying to make plays happen though, and they're able to kill Skewmond with the Vi Ahri combo on red buff. They also load everyone bot side to kill Broken Blade when the Drake spawns, giving them the objective lead. However, BB stalls for a really long time, and this actually ends up being a mistake for Gen G in the long run, as G2 used their Rift Herald to open up the map significantly. Mid tier 1, top tier 1, and half of top tier 2 go down, and G2 now have a gold lead. With second item in base, Hans really wants to reset, and Ruler makes a good play by faking his reset and overstaying to hit mid tier 1. Gen G know they have temporary numbers around the area as well, so when Labrov steps up to place vision, everyone on Gen G is ready for the snap. However, G2 were also ready. This turns into a huge 5v5, and a ward that Gen G had no vision of turns into a great TP flank for Cassante, and with a well-executed teamfight from all 5 members, G2 pick up 2 kills. 2 minutes later, G2 want to keep extending their lead by playing for the mid tier 1, but Keen stays on the turret and everyone moves down for the dive. Chovy is catching top wave, so G2 full send the play, and despite Gen G's best efforts to defend, this turns into 3 more kills for G2, and they use this kill lead to start Baron. Gen G have no answer for this, and G2 get the objective. Their tempo is bad though, so Gen G all move to the Drake and take Soul Point. G2 also move towards the Drake to play for the fight though, and they're able to kill Vi on the way out, setting up their Baron push. The Vi, nice kill. Okay, Vi is dead, set up wave, stop chasing, just set up the waves, push with the Baron. 1 mid, with this team comp, we need Zehen mid 4 bot, Zehen mid 4 bot. The goal is we're going to try to take mid tier 2, bot tier 2, mid tier 3, bot tier 3 if possible. At the very least we want 3 turrets. If Gen G make a mistake, we can maybe even take 2 inhibitors and then we can just like win the entire game. But this is good, their setup is good right now. I think, I don't really like Victor hovering in the in-between here. I think Victor should be super careful. Victor should take the long way around and walk bot. Victor should, yes, okay. This is good. This is good. Yes, back up, connect Victor with the team. Perfect. Skewmond, we don't need those camps right now. Skewmond, go back mid, please. Why are we not... What? Wait. Why are we not pushing? I mean, like, Gen G, they're... See, Skewmond, this is the problem with you going for Raptors and red. You needed to be on mid-wave. Gen G can't do this if you're on mid-wave. Oh, I think big mistake from Skewmon. Are we 2 ahead, though? We're 2 ahead. We're 2 ahead. We're gonna win anyway. Skewmon is here. Oh, man. We just won game 2. We just won game 2. Holy shit. I do not like how G2 played that Baron push at all, actually, but we won. Gen.G still have Soul Point, so one mistake could turn the game. G2 grabbed the second Baron and looked to end the game, but Duro is able to put himself on a super nice flank. As G2 move into the base, Duro's flank pays off massively and he combos and one-shots Varus. Keen then exhausts Victor, and with none of the carries doing any damage for G2, Gen.G actually roll over the teamfight and 4-0 G2, swinging the gold lead by 7k and getting them back into the game. G2 still have Baron on one person though, and when everyone respawns, they go for one more push. Chovy is posturing to do some damage and slow the push, but Skewmon finds a psychotic angle to catch Ahri and force her to use her tools, and with great follow-up from Lebrov when Gen.G move in to save Ahri, G2 are able to kill Vi. With 5v4 numbers and one more wave of Baron left, everyone on G2 remains locked in, and they're able to end the game. Once again, this was a super clean game from G2. Everyone played well, especially Lebrov on the Braum. Gen.G actually played fairly well in this game too, but the Vayne did end up being a long-term weakness into all the tools G2 had, and they've now been completely out-macroed 2 games in a row. Super impressive from G2, and we may be about to witness the impossible. Game 3 draft can go either way. G2 get the Lulu side of Yunara Lulu, and Hans brings out a specialty Kog'Maw pick, and as you all know, I prefer the Lulu side of the trade. The solo lanes trade counter picks for winning side lanes, as G2 have Akali into Azir, and Gen.G have Gwen into Shen. Both of these should get pressure for their respective teams in mid-game. Both teams also clearly want to front to back with huge late game carries. G2's front to back is definitely stronger. Kog'Maw has multiple peel tools to protect him, and this makes the life of Mbessa especially hard. Gen.G also don't have frontline to protect Azir anywhere near as well as G2 can protect Kog. However, G2 can only get a good setup for fights if Akali actually gets side lane value into Azir, which is definitely doable, but nowhere near as easy as Gen.G's Gwen winning side against Shen. If Akali isn't beating that Azir, it will be Gen.G with better objective setups. If Akali can win, G2 can match that 5v5 power and win the teamfights. I think Gen.G's comp is a bit easier to execute and I would rather have that, but G2 can definitely win this one if they play well. Right away, G2 leapt out to an insane lead. I think this entire comp lives or dies based on whether Akali can get side lane pressure, and on first Drake, Canyon tried to contest down a level and got super chunked by Jarvan. Caps was there with the flank angle and he picked up first blood. Okay. Nice! That's really good for the game. You guys have no idea how good for the game that is. Gen.G tried what they could to set Akali behind, but nothing was sticking. The Azir ults weren't landing, Canyon tried an ult play mid but couldn't get the kill either, nothing was stopping this Akali from transitioning well into mid game. A few minutes later, Keen was caught out going for a deep ward, and this is also pretty huge for G2 because that's another part of that side lane pressure that Gen.G would love to have being delayed. At the second Drake, Gen.G tried to look for the fight. They have all the engage tools, and if they give G2 2 Drakes for free with their comp, things will not look good. Caps has the flank which puts pressure on Gen.G to do something, and Duro tries his best to go in with the flash ult, but Hans is ready to flash out, and now Gen.G have nothing left. It's only a 1-for-1, but it's a huge win for G2 who have an extremely stable mid game. Something G2 do that's really cool in this mid game is they put the Akali into the Gwen and Shen into Azir. Since G2 have the lead, they're the team who can dictate the lane matchups, and by doing it this way since Akali is so far ahead, they'll effectively have 2 winning side lanes when normally this would not be possible. Skewmon is also playing out the lead well. Knowing he has Shen ult to shield him, he goes for a Raptors invade with no fear and picks up a kill. Chovy panics a bit and tries to cancel Shen ult, but Broken Blade just turns around and kills him. G2 have a massive lead now, and all they have to do is execute well in a couple more moments. G2 aren't making any mistakes, and their side lanes are winning the game for them slowly. Skewmon finds a nice dive onto Keen as well, and everything is going G2's way. G2 pick up the soul without any contest from Gen.G. It's simply not possible for their champions to do anything to break into G2's setups. For one brief moment, it seems like maybe Gen.G can fight, as they get one team fight where Hans goes down. However, Gen.G used literally all of their tools to make this happen, and this means Akali can take over the second half and kill everyone on the backline, and even with some attempted 3v1 theatrics from Keen, the fight is lost. Now, Gen.G have nothing to do, as Hans has his flash and Gen.G have none of theirs. G2 can do whatever they want until Elder Drake spawns, and they open up their lead to insurmountable amounts. The final fight of the series is over the Elder, and it looks like about how one would expect at this point. Let's see it. Let's see it. G2 are never flipping this. They're always fighting. They're always fighting. Caps has the flank. Yep, the Nico ult wasn't good. Hans is pumping. Hans is pumping. Looks like, yep, okay. Alright, that's it. That's it. That's it. 3-0. 3-0. Oh my god. The West is 3-0 Gen G. Oh my fucking god. I can't believe it. I cannot believe my eyes right now. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude, this is insane. G2 get the 5-for-1 ace, and they walk it in and end the game. Once again, G2 were simply a much better macro team this game. Gen G made only a couple of mistakes, and once G2 got the leads where they needed them to be, they never looked back and closed out super cleanly. With this, G2 complete the 3-0 sweep in what is probably the biggest upset in League of Legends history. This series was super fun to watch, and I'm extremely happy the West was able to get a major BO5 win against the East. I know people will jump to flame Gen G's players, but I want to make it absolutely clear, G2 won today because they played insanely well. I think FearX didn't show up when G2 beat them yesterday, but today, Gen G were not actually that bad, and they even played fairly well in Game 2. At the end of the day, G2 were just a cleaner team with better early game plans and better macro. Then, once they had their leads, they didn't throw. It sounds insane to say out loud, but G2 played some phenomenal League of Legends as a team, and I think they would beat almost any team with the form they showed. Even from Game 1, I felt really good about how G2 were playing, and saw the potential for the upset to come through. Everyone on G2 should be super proud of themselves, and I hope the players on Gen G don't feel like they choked, because in my opinion, they didn't. G2 simply were the better team today, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. With the high of that series out of the way, now we get to come back down to reality a bit with BLG versus JDG. Game 1 draft, I think BLG should be very happy with what they have. JDG's bans were really weird as they banned neither Orianna or Ryze, and BLG got their choice. Then JDG didn't take away the Nocturne or the Ryze, so BLG just end up with an insanely powerful mid-jungle duo, and JDG don't have much compensation for it. As for the rest of the draft, nothing else really worked out for JDG either. BLG have winning lanes on top and bot, and they have triple hard engage into a Bard who can protect his carries. I think BLG should be super happy with what they have, and I like their comp way more. Better side lanes, better mid game, stronger champions. Not sure what JDG are thinking, and with how shaky they looked yesterday, the vibes are pointing towards a BLG stomp before Game 1 even starts. In LPL playoffs, Xiaozhu was never able to get the better of Bin early, and this game was no different. Bin had full control of the lane from minute 1, and BLG started off the game with a pre-6 Nocturne top dive to get Gnar super far ahead. JDG fired back well though by going for a cross-map bot dive that went 2 for 1, and then Vampire took a trip topside to bail out the lane state for Mbessa. BLG then went for their own play, firing off the Nocturne Ori combo onto Victor mid, picking up another kill. At 13 minutes, the game is pretty dead even. The teams traded blow for blow, and I still like BLG's mid-game power more, but JDG got 2 Drakes, which is always helpful. Here, we get to see exactly why I like BLG's comp more, as Alistar and Jarvan try to hard engage onto Orianna, but On hits a well-timed Bartle to keep Orianna alive, and with the rest of BLG arriving to help out, JDG's engage is thwarted and the tools were used for nothing. Now BLG have a large summoner spell lead, and they should be in good conditions to take Herald and the next Drake. Despite this, JDG show up to fight Herald anyway, hoping they can outplay hard in the fight. It's once again the On show though. Even if Mbessa hits the ult, Bard's ult was timed well and he would have been fine. Now it's BLG's turn, and with the Nocturne Ori combo plus great Bard teamfighting, BLG dive onto the vulnerable targets and win the fight 3 for 1. Junja also gets picked out in front of the Drake, and BLG now have a huge lead. BLG are not a clean team though, and no lead is too big for them. At 20 minutes in bot side, Alistar and Jarvan again attempt to combo someone, but On's Bartle is timed well again, and the Orianna is safe. Shun also plays this well by walking aggressively at Victor to make sure he can't DPS, and it looks like BLG survived the attempted engage. Knight turns around and goes back in though, and he kills both himself and On, throwing back a bit of the advantage. A bit later, Junja is caught on his blue buff, and On hits a great ult snipe onto Mbessa, and this turns into 2 more kills plus a Baron for BLG. We get another sign of BLG's late game throws though, as On dies going for deep vision right in front of the 4th Drake, and JDG can get themselves onto Soul Point. Bin and Shun want to go crazy on the side lane though, and with a Nexus turret dive, they set Xiaozhu behind even further. JDG do get that 3rd Drake, but the base is in shambles. From here, BLG should steamroll their massive lead into an easy win. On finds another great ult onto Varus which kicks off another fight, and this turns into 2 more kills to extend the gold lead to 9k. In the lead up to 5th Drake, BLG now have full control everywhere, but On dies here again just 30 seconds before that soul for JDG spawns, and now there's a thin chance. BLG can't help themselves from making these late games dicey. JDG try to go for the 5v4, but BLG are so far ahead that they're able to wallet gap them and win the fight anyway. Soon after, they go for a 5v5 turret dive and wipe JDG, and the game is ended. When it comes to BLG's early games, it's undeniable that they're top tier. The way they skirmish and make plays is great, and they might be the best team in the world in the first 20 minutes. It's still sad though to see that nobody on the team seems to be able to close out their leads without multiple hiccups, and this could be the cause of a few dropped games against JDG later, or against G2 in the finals. Game 2 draft has some fun picks. JDG started off with the Vi first pick, and BLG feel good to go Yunara Nico with both Karma and Seraphine banned. Then JDG round out their top side with Blind, Renekton, and Ahri. I hate Blind Ahri due to Mel being up, but BLG decide to get their strong top instead with Sion for frontline. JDG then don't ban Mel, which I also think is a mistake, and BLG do end up grabbing some nice thematic counter picks including the Mel, but JDG have one more interesting adaptation with Caitlyn Lux, a lane built to stomp the Yunara Nico. Overall, I think the Cait Lux angle is super good, but won't be enough. Picking Ahri into Mel is a huge mistake in my opinion, and Mel should be able to do work against the entirety of JDG's comp. Poppy is also strong here, and Sion should be able to hold off Renekton at all stages of the game. JDG can only win this game if Caitlyn gets super far ahead and carries, but if one thing goes wrong for their bot side, then the game becomes borderline unwinnable. As much as I love seeing Lux in pro play, I have to give this draft win to BLG. The beginning of the game went pretty much exactly how the comps would be expected to play out. Caitlyn Lux is a super strong 2v2, and they showed it by getting multiple duo kills. Because of this, JDG started off with the gold lead and the first Drake. On the top side of the map though, BLG's 3v3 had full control. Shonen Bin went for an insane engage that I thought wasn't going to get anything, but impressively they calculated the timing perfectly and killed both people with clean CC chains. It's a battle of JDG's bot side versus BLG's top side, but one mistake from this Caitlyn and the game is over. Throughout mid-game, Xiaoju had a really tough time as the target of most of BLG's plays. Shonen revisited top to get another kill with Sion, and then when Xiaoju went bot to make way for Caitlyn to move to other lanes, BLG shifted all of their resources bot side and dove him again. He could have played safer on some timers for sure, but other plays were pretty unavoidable and made his performance look worse than it was. For the most part, all of the objectives were given to the team with better setup. Sometimes both teams would show up to fight it, but the team with the worst setup would give up and leave, because both teams understood that this game was on a knife's edge depending on whether Caitlyn gets fed or dies. In the in-between moments, Caitlyn was able to grow her gold lead by knocking down turrets, and JDG got their gold lead up to 3k. At 19 minutes, JDG would make a pretty decent mistake, as Hongq and Vampire postured to try and one-shot on. The CC missed though, and BLG were all in the area to collapse on the play and get 2 more kills. Now, the gold lead is only 1.5k, and the margin for error has shrunk. All of this tension would come to a head at 25 minutes, as Junjo was caught out in topside jungle, starting off a large teamfight. Junjo went down in trade for On, and everyone on both teams moved up to continue the fight. This is where that one Caitlyn death would be cashed in though, as Bin found a great Sion ult angle to trap Gala in between him and Yunara, and with her death, the entire game exploded in an instant, as BLG won the rest of the fight and took Baron. Now that Caitlyn is behind and JDG have a dive comp into Poppy Mel, there's nothing left for JDG to do, and BLG decide to save everyone the time by ending the game with that singular Baron push. We're moving into game 3, and BLG look much better across the board. I'm expecting an easy 3-0 to Grand Finals at this point. JDG don't look like they showed up. Maybe I have to take it back though, because JDG really cooked it up for game 3 draft. Seraphine first pick and BLG go the Ashe Xin response, but finally someone goes Senna Seraphine. On stream, I've been raving about how strong Senna Seraphine is all tournament, and all split for that matter, and I've been waiting for someone to finally try it. It's a disgustingly strong 2v2, and the double sustain makes for crazy late game. They also go Olaf, and Olaf with double enchanters is always going to be difficult to deal with. Then Xiaoju doubles down by counterpicking Bin's Yorick with a Tryndamere, and again, Tryndamere, just like Olaf, is much stronger when he's got 2 healers buffing him up. JDG round out their comp with Hui for mid control, and their comp looks like it'll completely run over BLG. The only tool BLG has to try and survive this insane deathball is a Nivea wall, but I don't believe it's enough. Unless On plays the greatest Anivia support game of all time, or if BLG stomp early game to epic proportions, I think JDG destroyed them in draft and should win the game. BLG came out with a good level 1 plan. Knight went bot and the 3 of them ran at the Ashe Seraphine, getting Vampire's flash before the lane even started. This is super helpful as it will help Ashe and Anivia have the ability to be more useful later on. In top lane, Xiaoju went for a super aggressive trade early. With a flash forward and ignite up, he wants to chunk Yorick hard enough to get a significant lane advantage. Yorick survives it well and teleports back though, trapping Tryndamere in lane. On the timer where Xiaoju is trying to prepare his reset, Shun comes up for the gank, and by setting Tryndamere behind early like this, the map is completely unlocked for BLG. In the other solo lane, Knight is having a field day with Hongq, and he gets the Hui's flash in a 1v1 on the level 6 timer. Shun finds a creative angle to dive Hui from the Raptor Pit with a flash W, and now both solo lanes are losing for JDG. The bot lane 2v2 isn't going well for JDG either, as On decides to hold the bot wave for Viper, and Vampire stays to try to push it in, getting killed in the process as soon as Ashe comes back. Both bot laners for BLG reset, and Hui is about to be punished for that no flash again as the cross map arrow comes in, and On is there to extend the CC to get the kill tonight. When Viper's ult comes back, he immediately throws a mid again, and with Shun being synced up on the timer, Hongq goes down a 3rd time, opening up a massive mid gold gap for Knight. Despite the 3 losing lanes though, JDG are still trying to scale. With the second Drake spawning, it's a super important objective for both teams. Every Drake JDG gets is 5 minutes to farm souls on Senna or complete items on Seraphine, so BLG really need this, or they need to win the fight. Junja and Shun both go for the Smite Secure, but it actually ends up being Knight who takes it somehow, and this is a huge win for BLG. The fight afterwards is only a 1-for-1, but BLG being able to take away the soul win condition is massive. As we get into mid-game, the massive mid gap didn't stop. Knight solo killed Hongqiu bot side at 16 minutes, which in theory would allow BLG to open up the game more, but they instead try to go for a 3v3, and even as far behind as JDG are in combat power, you can see the strength of their comp coming through as Shun ends up dying to the Olaf in an attempted chase down. If JDG get their items and can stabilize, they'll still be very scary. It's also worth mentioning up to this point that On has been playing that excellent Anivia game he needs to play. He's in every lane where he can do something positive, he's cancelled multiple people's recalls behind towers, and generally he's the main reason why BLG are continuing to maintain full control of the map. Once again at 23 minutes though, JDG's comp is doing the work for them. Through pure stat check alone, Junja sprints in a straight line at the no flash Ashe mid lane and gets the kill with the help of his bot lane buffs, proving just how easily people can die if BLG are slacking. The rest of BLG are in the area though, and a great dual flank from Shun and Knight give BLG 2 more kills, followed by the Baron. On the Baron push, Viper lands an ultimate snipe onto the Hui once again, and BLG try to go forward and one-shot him. Gala reacts nicely with a W onto Knight though, and Olaf immediately runs forward to try to take over the team fight. He gets the kill onto Knight, but then goes too far forward and dies before his team's spells come off cooldown. Also, look at Shun here, he gets CC'd for an eternity and it looks really funny. With Aurora dead, JDG are able to survive the Baron push and the game continues. Even in this game state, I actually still think JDG can win. Senna is at 3 items, Seraphine is close to the diadem, and BLG's champs are falling off with every passing minute. The fight before 5th Drake shows this perfectly. Knight catches Gala out and almost one-shots him, but look at his health bar as Shun tries to secure the kill. The heals and shields are going crazy, and the CC and damage are high enough that Xin Zhao then dies. I'm pretty sure this is guaranteed Drake for JDG, but then Xiaozhu goes haywire on the flank, and On is able to peel Ashe safely to make it a 4v4. Even in these conditions though, it's all JDG. Seraphine and Senna have healed everyone to full multiple times, and even with another cross-map arrow landing in sync with Knight's flank, it doesn't matter against the insane deathball sustain. Thinking they have the advantage now, JDG try to start up Baron S3, but Hui isn't close enough to be useful and Trinimir's teleport is super far away, so Gala gets run down and killed. With Senna dead, there's nothing JDG can do to stop BLG from getting second Baron, and all the momentum JDG built up is gone in an instant. Despite this, the deathball is still deathballing and JDG managed to hold on for the entire push without losing anything of value. They even pick up another kill on Knight due to their high CC chains, and we're heading to another Drake standoff. If JDG can get a good looking 5v5, I'm pretty sure they'll win the fight easily, but the Anivia is putting in crazy work to zone everyone back, and with perfect ultimates and walls, he stalls out JDG long enough for BLG to claim the Mountain Soul, and the fight is super uncoordinated as Trinimir and Olaf again play it out too fast. Both Xiaozhu and Junja go down, the arrow snipe hits all 3 remaining members, and JDG win a 4-for-0 team fight to end the game. I thought JDG played this game pretty terribly from start to finish. Junja wasn't keeping track of his teammates' cooldowns at all in fights and played multiple situations too fast, Xiaozhu was super disconnected and got no value all game, Hongqiu couldn't land any of his spells or be in the right position on multiple timers, and generally all of JDG were playing very sloppily. The comp gap was real though, and it was hard carrying them to multiple playable game states. This is where my praise for BLG comes in. I said in order to win, they needed to blow out JDG early, and have the greatest Anivia support performance ever, and they managed to check off both of those boxes. The players on BLG had to put forth a Herculean effort to make the mid and late game work even with the massive lead they had, and On especially was flawless from start to finish, putting the team on his back from minute 1. Even though JDG didn't play well, I heavily respect the effort from Shun, Viper, and On to somehow win this one. With that, BLG are able to sweep aside JDG and are going to be the second team in Grand Finals. For JDG, even though I didn't have the highest expectations of them at the tournament, I feel a bit disappointed. Their loss to Gen G and win against Loud were pretty solid quality, but their final 2 series against Lion and BLG were super underwhelming. I do think this team will scale though, and I expect some of their individual flaws and coordination issues to improve as the year goes on. I think we'll see JDG again at other internationals, and I'm looking forward to what form they'll show. As for BLG, I'm mixed on their performance today. This team is definitely the best early game team in the world, and it's not even close. Some of the drafts BLG had featured some not so simple early games, and their plans and adaptations to navigate through the flaws of their comp were extremely solid and executed well. The other parts of BLG's game, their late game throws, still definitely exist. It feels to me like BLG's players are all great mechanically and are all great at growing their leads to insurmountable margins, but when it comes time to actually win the game, nobody knows how to do it other than by winning fights. A nice 3-0 from them, but they definitely aren't an infallible team. Tomorrow, we have grand finals between G2 and BLG. On my stream, I was asked multiple times who I thought would win if BLG advanced and why, and I had this to say in the moment. I need to see how BLG play their late games this series, but if BLG play like this in grand finals against G2, if they play like this, I actually think that they'll probably just beat G2, and then it just depends on whether they throw or not. I mean, like, the thing is that, like, BLG, when they met up against G2, BLG were a way better early game team, but, like, they were not closing out their games cleanly at all. And, like, if G2 play their early games against BLG tomorrow the way that they did against Gen G today, BLG I still think will get leads, but the leads won't be nearly as big. And then it'll be up to whether BLG throws or not, because I think G2 have shown cleaner league this tournament. But like this game, clean so far from BLG. We'll have to see. Like generally, I think if BLG have 3 clean games in a row, I'll probably predict BLG to win tomorrow. But if BLG start like throwing their late games again and their wins look really messy, then I'll give it to G2. Despite what I said though, it's still really terrifying for me to say that G2 will win straight up. We saw G2 get completely blasted by BLG earlier in the tournament, and it was those insane early games that did them in. However, that G2 from 3 series ago was a different G2 than what we saw against Fearex and Gen G. Hans and Labrava found a form I haven't seen from them ever, Skewmon and Bibi have played back-to-back excellent series, and even Caps finally showed up today. I also want to stress again, I think Gen G weren't actually terrible today. They made only a couple of mistakes early game in games 1 and 3 that G2 capitalized on well, and then Gen G played out their game 2 comp pretty solidly, but it was a draft gap so they can't win if G2 are also playing well, which they did. It felt like G2 were problem solving their early games very well in the past 2 days, regardless of enemy's performance, and that's going to be the biggest problem they'll have to tackle against BLG. If G2 can weather the early game storm against BLG, and if they continue to play out their mid and late games as cleanly as they did against Fearex and Gen G, I do think G2 can defeat BLG. Even when BLG had those massive leads against G2 in the last matchup, their late games were still ugly and they had moments where it looked like G2 could come back. The question is though, if BLG can stomp early game hard enough that it doesn't matter, and they made a mighty fine case against JDG today. I've gone back and forth on this a lot, and even as I'm writing the script out now, I still don't know for sure which team I want to predict. If I try to trust only my gut and go with what feels correct to me, I keep on thinking BLG. However, my brain in the past 2 days tells me a different story, and I think I'll go against my intuition here. G2 played extremely League of Legends today, much cleaner than anything BLG has shown all year, and I think G2 can figure out a way to not roll over and die in the first 15 minutes. I'm going G2 3-1 as my grand finals prediction, putting my hopes on a Western region finally winning their first international title since 2019. That's all I have for you for this one. I have a Patreon for people who want to support me more while I'm making these videos. There are 3 tiers, each with varying amounts of benefits, including different types of behind the scenes content, and even a custom Poro drawing that I'll display in video outros. If that interests you, check out the Patreon link in the description. I'll see you all for the next one. Bye!